Welcome to the New Health Conversation podcast. For the people coming on, welcome to the New Health Conversation podcast. At the New Health Conversation podcast, what we're going to cover today is why diets are failing us long term, because they are. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% are obese. Does anyone really think that regular diets work? What we're going to share with you in the New Health Conversation podcast is only medical evidence. We're not going to give you any opinions. Opinions shouldn't mean anything to you. I don't know why we're listening to opinions when we now have solid scientific proof that diets at a minimum, not only are they very ineffective, but actually in the long term they can be tremendously unhealthy. We're going to contrast that for you today with 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies which will show a new protocol that's going to obsolete. It's not based on calories, it's not based on exercise. It's so amazing that men and women were not even allowed to exercise, and yet they lost as much weight basically in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet, and at the same time they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So welcome everyone to the New Health Conversation. We're going to discuss why diets are failing us, but we're only going to give you scientific proof. We're not going to give you any opinions. So this is the New Health Conversation podcast dealing with why diets are failing us, and you're going to see an alternative that it'll blow your mind in terms of probably after this podcast you'll never want to do a traditional diet again. Maybe you will, and we're not here to talk you out of anything. We're here to make you aware of the medical facts about the real truth behind diets, and it's really pretty eye-opening. And we're talking about New England Journal of Medicine, we're talking about Journal of the American Medical Association, we're talking about nutrients, we're talking about the Obesity Journal. I mean, this is really, really amazing what's going on, and yet we're hearing all of this. And pretty much all the researchers, what are they telling you to do? That the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Well, you're going to find out that's going to be totally debunked here in just a couple minutes. So the most important thing that I think we can do today is to at least make you aware of the opposite, okay? The opposite are these 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies where men and women with no exercise, they literally they lost as much weight in a month as a year on any diet without any water loss, without gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. I know it sounds crazy, but we have the medical proof to back it up. That's the difference, okay? So if you're really serious about losing weight and you want to find out why diets are failing us, then you're on the right podcast. I mean, if you want to hold on to the notion that somehow you're on paleo or keto or Mediterranean, that it's going to work in the long term, I think you're going to be pretty surprised when you see what the medical proof is when they look at these diets, especially after 6, 10, or 12 months, because the sad part is that most of the people, up to 2/3 of the people, end up weighing more weight after the diet than the weight they lost on the diet, so they end up not even starting at ground zero, they're minus. And that's the medical reality. You can listen to the influencers, you can listen to the dietitians, you can listen to the nutritionists, you can listen to the medical doctors, the weight loss coaches, etc. And it's not that they're trying to mislead you. It's that they're telling you what they've been told. They're telling you what they know. But how can we possibly think, if 80% of Americans are overweight, why diets are failing us? Because they are, okay? And 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic, for crying out loud. We're not going to have enough insulin. I mean, this thing is completely out of control. And yet each day we just sort of hang in there and go, okay, well, I guess this is really, I'm just going to go la la la. But the sad part is it's getting worse. It's not getting better. We've been counting calories for more than 100 years. How's that turning out? And the projections are within 20 years, 100% of America is going to be overweight. How are we going to overcome that? Does everyone understand that? Do you get that? And look, I know you're probably skeptical. So what we're talking about for the new people coming on, why diets are failing us, in this podcast called The New Health Conversation. And it's actual backed by peer-reviewed human trial studies, not clinical trials, not scientific papers, not articles, but hard scientific evidence. And we're going to be fair. We're going to present both the peer-reviewed human trial studies, I have them in my hand, on traditional diets. We're not ever giving you our opinion. Why would I give you my opinion? You don't need my opinion. If you want an opinion, you got plenty of people on TikTok and Facebook. They're giving you lots of opinions. This is how to lose weight, lose 5 pounds in a week. Zero medical evidence. We don't do that. So the New Health Conversation, I'm going to put it up there for everybody to see. The New Health Conversation. You can go there at any point. It's free to go there. I promise if you go there, we will not, whoops, I forgot the H in the. Okay, there we go, sorry. Okay, now you can see the new, it's free to go there. We don't charge a penny for you to go there, okay? And you get to look at the scientific proof. Not only that, there's an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world, and there's even a walkthrough of exactly what they did. I'm going to go over the high points of what they did, but it's really pretty complicated. So we even give you, see, we're not hiding anything. We're showing you right up front, this is what's involved. But the other part that hopefully will excite you is once you see the medical proof, after listening to this podcast today, hopefully you'll go to that website and see for yourself. And we're not going to contact you. Only way we'll contact you is if you contact us. It says free consultation. I mean free. See, we don't have to use any gimmicks or tricks because of this fact. We're relying on science. We let the science do the talking. We let the science do the convincing. Now, it's important that you set up a free consultation with us because, again, do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Do you have any, medical issues you might be dealing with? We have so many doctors now that are joining us that never would even look at this. Look, I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. I've written 4 best-selling books. I've done 20 shows on PBS. I've appeared on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, and I've done 1,500 lectures all over the world. So what we're bringing to you is real medical proof. So we'll start in about a minute. But again, I want you to be in a position where you can see real proof. And what we do, we're fair. We're going to show you medical proof on traditional diets, calorie counting, 10,000 steps, all that stuff. And then we're going to contrast that with 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies. Not 1 or 2, 7 of them, where this new protocol, where men and women weren't even allowed to exercise because the researchers didn't want exercise to be an outlier. How excited would you be if you could lose as much weight in 7 days safely as in 8 weeks of a diet? Or in a month, lose as much weight as people lost in a year? I'm going to prove it to you in just a moment. Not from an opinion, but from hard scientific proof. Aren't so many of you now, it's summertime and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want to lose some weight. I want to look good in my bikini, etc. But the sad part is on traditional diets, again, not our opinion, you have a 2/3 chance you're going to end up weighing more than what you started. I see them on here now. They're talking about, I lost, 60 pounds in a year and I want to lose another. Well, they can't, they're not budging an inch. They're not budging an inch. And I'm going to explain to you, okay, again, what are we talking about? Why diets are failing us? Because they are. Do you really think if 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% of those people are obese, do you really think that diets work? But you're going to get to choose, not us. Okay, so let's get started. So this is the New Health Conversation, and we're talking in this podcast, and all the podcasts, we talk about why diets are failing us, because they are. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. I've written 4 best-selling books, appeared 20 times on PBS, and was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, and did over 1,500 lectures all over the world. Do you know for 20 years, none of that meant a thing in the medical world? It wasn't until a year ago this month that these peer-reviewed studies came out. And now I got so many medical doctors that are just embracing this. Because the thing was, I understand, they weren't willing to look at this because they weren't willing to take a chance to recommend something to someone that didn't have a peer-reviewed human trial, especially something that was completely out of the norm of anything they'd ever heard before. People in these studies consume more calories than people in the comparative traditional diets. They lost weight 12 times faster. But they had to see the proof. What was the proof? The proof was that it wasn't water weight, and they gained, not lost, 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, let's dive into it now. So I think, and you're welcome to put in the chat box, if you know of any diet out there that's not some form of lowering calories, please tell me what it is. So let's start first with an article out of Harvard Medical School. Kind of the top of the pyramid, right? Stop counting calories. Listen to what she said. The idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, an obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, says Dr. Stanford. It's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not on how many calories we're consuming. Now let's go to another article entitled Why. I'll show you, I can show it to you right here so you don't think I'm making these things up. Okay, there's the article. Why you shouldn't count calories. Listen to this. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And then they go on to say, What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. That's what you're facing. But let's keep going. I don't want to just give you one opinion, okay? Let's keep going. This is an article titled, Don't Bother Counting Calories. It's complete nonsense. Let me read that again. Don't bother counting calories. It's complete nonsense. What did they say in this article? Inevitably, more than, notice they use the word more than, 95% of people will go back to their baseline weight, and many will go above it. They rebound back if they're doing any form of calorie-restricted diet. All of these experts now have reversed course. Remember, we're not giving you opinions. We're not making claims. We're reading from the medical research. And again, with all due respect, you go to any of these influencers on TikTok and Instagram. Have you ever seen one of them hold up one shred of medical evidence? They're good on opinions. They give you lots of opinions. But do they have any proof? They don't have any proof, okay? Now let's look at some of the big diets, individual studies on the big diets. This one in particular, Journal of the American Medical Association on intermittent fasting, which has been a big rage. You don't eat for 16 hours, you eat for 8, okay? I'm eating Oreo cookies. Well, good for you, TBS. I hope that really turns out good for you. That's so ridiculous. I mean, Dan, we don't need people like that. Sorry. It's just, that's ridiculous. You know, you have something better to do today than be on here. You know, this is real medical science here. It's not a bunch of nonsense, okay? So what did they find in this study about time-restricted eating? The new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8, popularly known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it, and over the course of 3 months, they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds, and most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. There's your Achilles heel to all these diets. See, what they're not telling you is when you go on a diet, let's just, first of all, lowering calories, it's one problem with that. The human body doesn't care about a calorie, doesn't know what a calorie is. What the human body cares about is nutrition. And so what happens, let's say when you lower your intake of food, you're also lowering nutrition. How does the body react? It goes in starvation mode, it won't burn fat, and it turns and goes and looks for fuel. Where does it find it? In our organs, including in our muscles. It literally breaks our muscles down to create energy. But the problem is with that, it's so inefficient, the body, in order to compensate, it has some fuel, but not enough fuel, then slows down our metabolism. And it's not just our normal metabolism, it's something called your basal metabolic rate, which is the rate at which you burn calories when you're asleep or when you're resting. But the other thing it does is even much more unhealthy, is it interferes with your own immune system. So going on a diet and losing weight, you might want to rethink that. Because if you're dealing with traditional food, by lowering calories, you're setting yourself up to lose not the weight, but and here's the problem. When people gain the weight back, they're not gaining back the lean muscle mass they lost. They're gaining back fat. And what the experts say, if you lose 1 pound of lean muscle, it takes you 12 months to recover. Isn't that shocking? Shocking? I mean, the point is that, yeah, look at that, 15 pounds AD. Yeah, exactly. But look, here's my point. If you're on this podcast, you have a chance to really change your life. Not because Peter Greenlaw says so. And for the new people coming on, we're talking about why diets are failing us, and we're showing the medical evidence of traditional diets. But bear with me. We're going to also go over these 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies. They're going to make diets obsolete. Not even my opinion, based on the researchers who for 38 years have been analyzing diets, and they said they would never recommend a traditional diet ever again based on these 7, not 1 or 2, 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. And for those that don't understand, a human trial peer-reviewed study, you can't go higher than that in medicine. It doesn't exist. So this is medical proof. Now, I want to give you, again, more proof. This is on traditional diets. You can read it. The New England Journal of Medicine, so I'm not making it up. So what did they do? They did a 12-month study, 12 months, that's a year, where they had 2 groups of people. One group of people, they simply lowered calories. The other group did time-restricted eating. Okay, what happened? In the group that lowered calories, in a year, they lost 16 pounds. And the time-restricted eating was even worse. They lost 12.6 pounds in a whole year. But listen to this. Both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass. Every one of these diets. I'm going to show you even more proof, okay? Now let's look at first of all, You've all been, or many of you know about a low carbohydrate diet that's supposed to be good. Well, this is a big study that was done in nutrients. I'm reading, remember, I'm reading from the studies. I'm not making a claim. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm making you aware. They said exposure to low carbohydrate diets is associated with reductions in muscle mass and an increased risk of osteoporosis in obese individuals. What? They go on to clarify that even more. They say reduced muscle mass is an established risk factor for osteoporosis, and it has been associated with functional impairment in obese individuals. You're going on a diet that could raise your risk of osteoporosis? Really? See, the body needs a balance. It needs fats, carbs, and proteins. You can't just eliminate one and think, okay, everything's going to be cool. Now, granted, there are different kinds of carbohydrates. Okay, that's one of the things that the researchers did. I'll come to that in a moment, but let me go back to the obesity thing for just a moment. This is a study published in the Lancet, the #1 medical journal in the world. Listen to this. They're now saying, in the study just concluded, more than 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, as the number of obese people has passed 1 billion for the first time, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition worldwide. Doesn't that shock you? And they went on to say most people are not aware that obesity and being underweight are both forms of malnutrition, because in both cases the people are not getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and the types of calories necessary to be healthy. So that lowering calorie thing, if you ignore the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and types of calories, it doesn't matter. Lower calories all day long. Your body doesn't give a darn about a calorie, but it cares about nutrition, okay? So also, I need to stop dieting. Oh, I'm on a diet now. That's odd, Ronnie. No, it's not. So, Ronnie, let me put this in the chat for you. Hold on, everyone. You can go to this website. It's free. We're not going to trick you. You can go there. And if you like what you see, you can literally sign up for a free consultation. And I mean free. No gimmicks, no tricks. We don't have to do that. Are you kidding me? When you've got 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies that proved a lot more than just weight loss. I mean, they weren't even allowed to exercise, men and women, because the researchers said they didn't want exercise to be an outlier. This is right in the study. They lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any of these diets. They lost as much weight in 30 days as people in a year, like in the New England Journal of Medicine study. They lost 16 pounds in a year. These people lost 16 pounds in a month, no water loss, and they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. If you're on a diet right now, good luck. Because let me go back to that one article that I was stating here. I mean, this is crazy. You shouldn't count calories. So you're on your diet. I know you're counting calories. I know you're limited. Can anybody put on any of the chats, what diet out there is not counting calories? This one, why you shouldn't count calories. Well, counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short run. The approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories will gain more weight back than they lost. That's what you're doing. That's what's going to happen. Well, maybe you're part of the 1/3. But even the other 1/3, according to this other article over here that was titled, "Don't Bother Counting Calories, It's Complete Nonsense." Not my opinion, everyone. Not my opinion. What did they find? Well, inevitably, more than 95% of people will go back to their baseline weight, and many will go above it. They rebound back if they're doing any form of calorie-restricted diet. I mean, how much more evidence do you need? I mean, and I have more over here. Okay, let me one more study I want to just read you, and then we're going to go to the real solution, the big breakthrough. This is a big study on the Mediterranean diet. It's been voted the #1 diet 7 years in a row by U.S. News and World Report. So this would be fantastic, right? Okay, 8 months, people lost 10.2 pounds in 8 months. And again, about 30-40% of their weight loss was lean muscle mass. Well, these people with no exercise lost 16 pounds in 30 days. I mean, it took people 8 months to lose 10.2 pounds. Aren't you at least a little bit curious, just a little bit? Because you can go, you can see the website. Go there. It's free. I promise. If you go there, we won't contact you. The only way we'll contact you is if you contact us by filling out the form. It's there to sign up for a free, and I mean free consultation. Does everyone get that? But there was a lot more that was involved. Do you know that they also, the medical results that they saw? See, right now they're saying, the CDC says 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic. They're also saying that 92% of the American population is metabolically unhealthy. Maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't. If you have 3 of these 5 factors, overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, and et cetera. Well, in the studies, all 4 of those came down dramatically just in 30 days. Inflammation came down 25%. Hunger came down by 41% in 30 days. I mean, again, why are you torturing yourself by believing that diets somehow work long term? It's impossible to think that 80% of people are wrong and 50% of those people are obese, and they just told you obesity is the leading form of malnutrition in the world. What are we doing? What are we doing? And it's really, I don't want to disparage anybody, but I see all these influences all coming on, and they're all telling you the same thing. It's the same mantra that, hey, the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Well, we have something else to deal with that you probably are not aware of, and that's called this. It's called the TDOS syndrome. It's a brand new syndrome. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. So you've maybe heard of metabolic syndrome, syndrome X. So what the heck's the TDOS syndrome? Well, the T stands for toxicity, meaning chemicals. D is for deficiency. O is for overweight, and S is for being stressed. What they're saying, what they now know, what they're proving is we're ingesting through water, air, and food all these chemicals. And what our body does to protect us, it's storing it inside our fat cells. Well, until 2005, there'd never been a study to even determine if we were storing chemicals in our body, okay? Well, in the studies, because they did blood, they did stool, they did urine, they did fat analysis, that this protocol really basically empowered the body to remove the chemicals. I mean, obviously not all of them, but a great many. But listen to this. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, through the National Center for Health Sciences, has conducted a series of blood and urine tests on thousands of Americans, measuring and monitoring the absorption of chemical toxins and at what concentrations these chemicals occur in the body. Think of it as an ongoing Manhattan Project, okay? Unfortunately, many of us contain a large number of these chemicals within our bodies, and they're creating toxic atmosphere that is seriously damaging our health, partly because many of these toxins build up over time and interact with other substances in harmful ways. They went on to say, each of these chemicals acting on its own is a potential toxic problem for human health, but multiple chemicals acting together present a mind-numbing research challenge for the CDC. For the chemical industry, an independent research team that would attempt to undertake this challenge, there would literally be hundreds of thousands of combinations of chemicals, their synergistic interactions to measure and evaluate for toxicity and their impact on human health. Now you begin to sense the dimensions of the rather daunting conundrum that confronts us. Did you even know about TDOS? Did you even know you're storing chemicals inside your body? No diet even touches this. But again, in the studies, what did they find? They measured in blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis that this was removing chemicals from our fat cells. And specifically, it's what's called the belly fat or the visceral fat. That's where we're storing the chemicals. So that was another huge thing. But now let's go to an even more detailed explanation. This is a really good book. I like it, The New American Diet, not written by me. It was written by Stephen Perrin, editor-at-large at Men's Health. Listen to what they're saying about these chemicals. Like we're talking about herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon that you're all of us are breathing, drinking, eating, okay? Now, guess what? They have a name. You know what they call these chemicals? Obesogens. And listen to what they're saying about them. Obesogens act in a variety of ways mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and altering the function of our genes and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about obesogens? I mean, which influences ever talking to you about obesogens? Are you storing chemicals in your body? Did you even know this before today? This is a real deal. I mean, it's not just that people are eating fast food and they're not exercising. You got 80% of America overweight and 50% are obese. These chemicals, we're storing them because the body is evolving to try and protect us from the chemicals. I mean, again, you can do any diet you want. You can count calories till you're blue in the face. It has no impact on chemicals at all. Now, let's look at some of the real results. These are not, I know you're going to think they're Photoshopped because people say that every single time. So these are actual people that did the protocol. The first one, this young woman, you'll see she didn't even have that much weight to lose. It's 30 days. I know you'll think it's like 6 months or whatever, but it's not. Yes, exactly. Chemicals are endocrine disruptors, 1,000,000%. Yeah, thanks, Mars. That's really, you're 1,000,000% right. But Mars, we're storing them in our visceral fat. The body doesn't know what else to do with them. So the point is, this helping and the body is the one that's detoxing. It's not what they're consuming. It's not. But the protocols they put together facilitated the body sort of upregulating the detox mechanism. But wait till you see the evidence of, well, again, everybody will think it's Photoshop. So this young woman, she's relatively, young, I'd say maybe late 20s or something. But look at this, 30 days, look at her stomach difference from here to there and from there to there. That is not Photoshop. That's without exercise. That's that visceral fat that's going down. It's shrinking. Why? Because as the chemicals come in the body's taking those endocrine disruptors, toxins called obesogens, stuffing them inside the visceral fat, and the fat cell expands like putting air in a balloon. But when you remove the chemicals, the body's removing it, okay, those fat cells shrink. They measured it. In 8 weeks, people shrank their visceral fat by 33% with no exercise. Now, here's another one. Now you're going to get a picture. It's the whole body that's storing chemicals, okay? Let me show you. Okay, so this was October 3rd, day 1, and this is November 9th, so 5. Look at the difference. Have you ever seen anything like that on any diet you've ever been on? But again, let's say you don't want to lose weight. Let's say you're an athlete. Let's say you want to improve your overall look of your body. Look at this. This is day 1, really pretty good shape. Great, even better, but look at this. This is 11 days. This is the morning of day 12. Look at that difference. It's unreal. No diet's doing this. And if you go to our website, which is free, thenewhealthconversation.com, it's free to go there. You can we're going to do a free consultation with you. Would you like to know, ladies, would you like to know how she did that? 21.2 pounds and 38.75 inches. Or this lady is even more remarkable. And remember, the inches are from the neck to the ankles. But look at the difference. We're not photoshopping this. See, that's what's cool. We don't have to make anything up. We're not giving you an opinion. Hey, let's do time-restricted eating and lose 5 pounds in a week. Really? Where's your proof? Where's your substance? And again, but I mean, this one stuns me. I mean, come on. In 11 days, that kind of a transformation? I mean, again, here's the crazy part. We're not here to talk you out of anything. Imagine, you go to the website, it's free. All the scientific proof is there. But also, guess why you'd want to go there? There's one that's called 60 Minutes That'll Change Your Life. It's an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world who conducted the medical trials. They've been studying diets for 38 years. And you know what they said? Based on the medical evidence now, they could never recommend a traditional diet of lowering calories to anybody ever again. See, the problem with dieting is it's not the number of calories. Let me give you a better illustration. So let's say we all agreed it was just about lowering calories. We're going to go on 1,500 calories a day. Oh, that's great. All right. So if it's just about lowering calories, 1,500 calories behind door number 1 is what? Lean chicken, fish, etc. 1,500 calories. Behind door number 2, if it only matters about 1,500 calories, 3 bags of M&Ms. Do you see how ludicrous that argument? Why calorie counting, that whole thing it's these studies are making it obsolete. And you're welcome. You go back, do paleo, do keto, do Mediterranean, do time-restricted eating, do fasting, do Atkins, do lose weight for your blood type. Go to Barnes & Noble, Mike. Look at the amount of diets they have. And yet we have 80% of them overweight and 50% obese. It's like, really? Am I looking at an alternate reality? Now, let's go back over to traditional diets again. This is even more telling. This study here, I'm going to show you in just a moment. Okay, here it is. This one's done in the Journal of the American Medical Association. The title of it was Comparison of Weight Loss Among Named Diet Programs. What they did, they looked at all, they listed them. You know, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Paleo, Keto, Mediterranean, intermittent fasting, fasting, lose weight for your blood type, the Cornish diet, the Zone diet, all these diets. 12-month study, pretty shocking. After 12 months, from the least amount of weight lost on any diet to the most amount of weight lost on any diet in 12 months was about 10 ounces. And in 12 months, again, well, by the way, I need to clarify. This study was of 48 different studies, 7,286 people. The average weight loss on this thing was 16 pounds in a year, with, again, about a huge portion of that being their lean muscle mass. Why? I mean, look, here's what I say. I know you're skeptical. I do this every day. I know it. I don't know what, but again, at least what we want you to do is to have, if you're going to make a decision one way or another about losing weight or your health moving forward in your life, do you want an opinion or do you want scientific facts? Because the one thing I love about science is it doesn't have any emotions, unlike me. It doesn't have any judgment. It doesn't have an agenda. It just is. That's why we're giving you the choice to compare traditional diets to this new, by the way, this new protocol has a name. It's called R2M, stands for Race to Maintenance. So let's talk about what did they do to create basically safe weight loss in a month that took a year in any diet. They did 4 things. Number 1, they made a list, the researchers did, of about half the food they wanted people to consume was from the grocery store, but only half the food. The other half, and this is really important, they searched, well, they found suppliers that had found foods with massive amounts of nutrition literally from all over the world, from New Zealand to Tibet in the Himalayas to Russia, China, Mongolia, South America. And they combined regular food, about half what people consume, with these specialized foods. Now, lest you think I'm going to do organic, et cetera. Well, 200 studies you might want to look at where they prove that organic, although it's definitely a little bit more nutritionally, but the main reason to do it is it's less polluted, okay? But one of the things we're the most deficient in are what called ionic trace minerals. The experts say we need 70. In the best organic food, they've tested it, you're getting 15 to 20 minerals out of 70. Well, what did the researchers do? One of the foods they found had all 70 minerals in it. Not 15, not 20, not 18, 70. Well, don't you think the body's going to work better if you have 70? And if you need 70 and you're getting 20, you think it's going to work as good? And the other thing that we're the most deficient in, believe it or not, at age 25, all of us suffer from a disease called sarcopenia. What does it mean? It sounds like a big medical term. Well, it is, but it's not, okay? What it means is we lose about 1% of our lean muscle mass every year starting at about age 25. Go to a nursing home, look at people in the 80s, the skin's hanging off, they're literally skin and bones. And what's an elderly person most concerned about? Falling down, breaking their hip, because it can be fatal, right? Now, the only way we actually make muscles in the body, yes, exercise helps, like strength training, resistance. I know in case we got some fitness people on here, they always go nuts when I tell them this. But you really will never build extensive amounts of muscle without one of 20 of the amino acids, one of what's called the essential amino acids. So we got 20 amino acids that we have to get. 9 are essential. 11, they're not as important, right? Well, one of those essential aminos is called leucine, and it's responsible for the body to make lean muscle mass. It's called body protein synthesis. That's the big fancy scientific name for it, right? Okay, so how do we get amino acids? We get them inside of proteins, and you've heard these people coming on, 120 grams of protein and all this. Okay, well, that kind of got blown to smithereens about 8 or 9 years ago in Europe when they developed a test that when we ingest a protein, we're getting all 20 amino acids. So it's, well, that's good. No, that means nothing. What they proved was what percentage of the 20 amino acids was being absorbed and used by your genes. So they did blood, they did stool, they did urine, they did fat analysis. What did they find? They found, and I don't want to make my vegan friends crazy, but I will, I guess. And I'm just giving you the science. It's not my opinion, all right? They analyzed, for example, like a pea protein, which is used in a lot of, non-dairy shakes and stuff. The absorption of that of the aminos in that is only 10%. 90% is toxic waste. They have a name. They're called nitrogen catabolites that the kidneys have to get rid of. Now let's switch to animal protein, steak, chicken, liver, fish. 30%, right? Now, let's go back to the studies. 80% women, 20% men, no one allowed to exercise. And yet, with no exercise, they lost weight 12 times faster than any diet, okay? But they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Here's why. Because the researchers found a source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%. 91%. The main reason they didn't want people to exercise was they wanted to test their theory. Okay, what if we're able to give people massive amounts of all 20, but in particular leucine, what would happen? What happened was it blew the researchers away. They didn't know what the result was going to be. You understand? I mean, you got to understand that peer-reviewed human trial study, they don't sell anything. They just research. And they put this research together to prove with this new protocol, what would it do? And the people in the studies did four things. One, I said, half the food from the grocery store and half these specialized foods from around the world. But then they had two completely different ways of consuming food. One is called protein pacing, okay, which was very specific when you had protein, how much, had nothing to do with this 120 grams. No, because you got to understand that. So let's say you ingest 120 grams of steak, chicken, liver, fish. You realize you're only gaining 36 grams of human protein, and that means that about 90%, 90 grams is going to be toxic waste your kidneys have to deal with. Urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose. This is not my opinion. This is what's going on. So if any of you are trainers and you go sideways on me, it doesn't matter, because I don't give you opinions. I just give you medical science. So you can tell your clients, I had a guy this week, he weighs 270 pounds. They told him to have 540 grams of protein a day. Well, when I explained this to him, he kind of changed this. He's doing a whole different program now. But look, don't we need a real solution? Does the New Health Conversation, and this is what we're proving to you, why diets are failing us, because they are. But yet we still hold on for dear life to this nonsense that somehow they're working when 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% are obese. Look at our kids. This thing, and now we know, based on the other study that I had shared with you from the Lancet, the #1 medical journal, I've got it right here again, where 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, and obesity is now the leading form of malnutrition worldwide. And they said most people are not aware that obesity and underweight are both forms of malnutrition, because in both cases the people are not getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and the types of calories to be healthy. That's why what you're putting in your body, what nutrition not the number of calories. Now, one other very interesting thing, in these new studies, if you request, absolutely, you're on here, so you earned the right to do a personal with me, absolutely. Just go to the website, set it up, and I can't promise you I'll get back to you today, but no more than 24 hours usually I get back to people, but we'll see how many people respond, okay? But anyway, these studies, these people consumed more calories than the people, for example, when they compared it. What the researchers did, they took the #1 diet, which is the Mediterranean diet, and they wanted to compare their results. Again, why not compare it against the #1, right? Well, in the Mediterranean diet, it took people 8 months to lose 10.2 pounds, and about 40% of what they lost was lean muscle. Well, #1, they lost 16 pounds in a month, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. But here was the interesting thing. The people in these studies consume more calories than the people in the Mediterranean diet. Look, I can really empathize with you, anybody on here that's really struggling to lose weight. You just have the wrong approach, okay? Complete wrong approach, right? And the thing is that when we look at the evidence, the medical evidence, you're suffering unnecessarily. I mean, honestly, aren't you a little bit curious? Why would you want to take a month to lose weight? Why would you want to take 8 weeks to lose weight you could lose in a week? And at the same time, the weight you're losing is really unhealthy. Why is that even in the cards? I mean, all of you, this is what's going on. Why diets are failing us? Because they are. Go to Walmart, go to Kmart, go to Target. Look at pictures of the beach from even the 70s to today. Something's terribly, terribly wrong. But you see, part of the problem, well, not a problem, but in scientific research, the very first thing you have to do is understand the magnitude of a problem before you can come up with a solution. That's why you have to understand, I think I've got it here somewhere. What did I do with the book? Oh, here it is. This syndrome, TDOS syndrome, which is a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. So you got metabolic syndrome, you have syndrome X, now you have TDOS, which stands for T for toxicity, D for deficiency, O for being overweight, S for stress. Did you even know it existed? Do you know that you have TDOS syndrome? Do you know every person, living, breathing person in the world has TDOS syndrome? No diet touches it. What happened in these peer-reviewed studies? They proved that this protocol was assisting, it was the body doing it, but this particular mechanism allowed the body to remove. And they tested what? Blood, urine, stool, and fat analysis. These are not opinions, by the way, everyone. This isn't some infomercial. This is the real deal. If you're really serious about your health, you don't have to listen to us, I guess. You know, I promise you, there's plenty of influences on here. They'll give you opinions. But are any of them giving you any facts? Because an opinion, just because they state an opinion, and with all due respect, even if it's a medical doctor, it's a, you know, a dietitian, a nutritionist, whatever, okay? But show me, and again, you can believe these are Photoshopped, but they're not, okay? They're not, these are not Photoshopped. So this young woman, this is 30 days, she didn't even have that much weight to lose, but look at her, look at her results. She lost 21.2 pounds in 30 days, but 38.75 inches. Look at this. You think that's maybe you think it's Photoshopped, or look at this. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight. That's like a throw-in, okay? And then look at this evidence. This is from, remember, when you're talking about inches, we're talking about neck to ankles, right? So day 1, October 3, 5 months later, November 9th, the same year, okay? I know people come out and say, oh, well, it was a year later. No, it wasn't. It was, that's 5. But look at the difference from her neck all the way, look at that. Doesn't that, like, interest you? Is that happening on your diet? People, if you go to the website, you'll see so many before and afters with people losing tremendous amounts of weight with no loose skin. Well, thank you very much. Wow. Well, that could absolutely, Nicholas, we've had some, again, Nicholas, we don't make medical claims. And the reason we're willing to do, not willing, we'll do a personal analysis with you is because we do have protocols without making you any promises. We'd never make you a promise because we don't do that kind of stuff that could really potentially really help you, you know? But that's why we do personal analysis. What if you want to gain weight? What if you're an athlete? What if, I mean, come on, look at this. This is 11 days. Day 1, day 5, well, it's the morning of day 12. It's not a weight loss program. In essence, it allows your own body to help remove these chemicals that we're storing inside of us, okay? It's not up for debate. I read from that book, The New American Diet, talking about the chemicals that have a name. They call them obesogens. And they said obesogens are blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone and altering the function of our genes and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about obesogens? Did you even know they existed before today? Because what are your choices? You're going to go on a conventional diet. You're going to lower your calories. But the evidence is overwhelming in study after study. Let's go back and look at, see, time-restricted eating is a big buzzword. Don't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8. Code word for what? Lowering food consumption. But in a medical study, not an opinion, they did a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association, one of the top 10 journals in the whole world, and they said the new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8, popularly known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it, and over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds, and most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. That's what you're losing. That's what you're losing. You don't have to believe me. Look at people that lose substantial amounts. Look at the amount of loose skin they have. Go to the website. I don't even want to show those. I mean, the pictures I'm showing you here, this is pretty much not that unusual for us. Let me show some of you that again. So 30 days, 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches. Look at there's the inches, there's the inches. And then this lady, in 5 weeks, day one, 5 weeks later. Look at the transformation. Why wouldn't you at least be curious? It's not going to cost you anything to go to the website and see the proof. Look at this one. Day 1, day 5, day 11, day 12, morning of the 12th. I mean, I suppose you think we're making it up. I suppose, they photoshopped it. Oh, that's AI. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because the other thing that we've got these 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies that are backing up every single thing I'm talking about. Not through opinions, but through medical proof. Again, do you want to go down the path of listen to someone's opinion? Look, you can lose weight on any diet, but we now know it's so unhealthy. If you use traditional food and you lower the intake, you cause your body to go in starvation mode, and in starvation mode, your body's going to go look for what? Nutrition, not for calories. And what happens? 2 really bad things happen. One, your body slows down your metabolism. It's not the normal metabolism, but it's what's called your basal metabolic rate. That's the rate at which you burn calories when you're resting or sleeping. But also, it actually interferes with the function of your own immune system. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm just thinking that, wow, and we've made it super easy for you and convenient. We're not trying to trick you. If you go to the website, we're not going to contact you if you go to the website unless you fill out the little form. It'll come to us, but you get to see everything on the website. You get to see the studies. There's a 1-hour interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world who conducted the studies, who said they'll never recommend a traditional diet of lowering. They're the world experts. It's not me. I'm not saying that. That's what they said. You can see his own words on the website. Why wouldn't you go there? I don't know. I can tell by the number of people that, come on and jump off and whatever, and they think, oh yeah, no, this isn't the same old thing. This is not an infomercial, right? So again, we've talked in this podcast about why diets are failing us. Because they are. It's not an opinion, okay? But I would just hope that, all of you would maybe take a deep breath. Oh, great, Melanie. I hope you will take your own time to go and see the evidence for yourself. I don't know what more we could do. I mean, honestly, we're giving you, by the way, on the website, you'll also see some of these studies that were done in New England Journal of Medicine, in the Obesity the Journal of the American Medical Association, on traditional diets. So it's not just a one-sided, like, oh, just look at this, No, we're being extremely fair. We're showing you the evidence on both sides, so that you can make a decision if you want to. That's not our choice. I mean, if you don't go to the website, it's not going to change my life. It's not going to change any of our consultants and advisors that we have. I mean, we got medical doctors now that are embracing this and just going like, what in the world? This is unreal. But the researchers, you know what they said? We were looking for the silver bullet for 38 years. We weren't sure we'd ever find it. We found it. And now we have the medical proof to back it up. See, that's the thing I think that makes it so different. And if any of these like supplements, magic pills, potions, lotions you see that are advertised all the time, liver cleanse and all that, they don't have one shred of medical evidence. Because here's the point. If it was that good, you'd want to have a peer-reviewed human trial study. Why? Because they're irrefutable. There's nothing, you can't go higher in medicine than a peer-reviewed human trial. It doesn't go there. So again, if you were so sure, see, that's the difference between a claim and scientific proof. Anybody can make a claim. And, I think the FDA does a really good job about limiting those claims. And we're saying the same thing. This is not intended to treat, diagnose, make any medical claims, prevention, et cetera. No. We're making available to you the medical proof. And we're only showing you what's in the studies. We don't have to expound on it. We don't have to make anything up. We don't have to stretch the truth. We don't have to make a claim. There's plenty of people doing that. And there you see again, there's the website, the New Health Conversation. You can see it there. And you just go there and look at everything. And if you like, and also on the website, we go through in much greater detail exactly what they did, including here are the food lists. Here's, how did they do what they did? When did they do it, et cetera. But then we want, because you've got your own agenda, we want to do a personal consultation with you because, my gosh, the challenges that people have. I mean, we have people with no thyroids. We've got people with, all kinds of challenges that certainly really do impact their weight loss. And we're not saying, we wouldn't be dumb enough to say anything's 100%. But a couple more things you need to know if you do decide to do it. Number one, you get a free coach. And it's not somebody an 800 number, someone who's done the protocol, has been trained to pretty much answer all your questions. But the other thing is, the manufacturers, the suppliers of the 5 foods that they brought from around the world are so confident it works because they have the medical proof. But beside that, the first month is 100% money back guarantee. Let me repeat that. The first month is 100%, no questions asked, money back guarantee. The suppliers, not me, they'll even pay shipping back. And it's so rare that anyone ever asks for that, because I don't think if you end up losing as much weight in a month as in a year without gaining lean muscle mass and feeling fantastic and having energy and seeing your hunger go down by 41%, I would hope you'd continue. I mean, again, that's up to you. What is your risk? What's holding you back? Your skepticism. Let's be honest. You know it's your skepticism, and it's okay. I'm not mad at you. It in some ways, I guess it saddens me. Let me share a personal story with you. Why am I so crazy about this? You see, my mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy, but I loved her. She was friggin' awesome. But 23 years ago, before I became a researcher, and one of the reasons I did become a researcher, she called me up one day and she said, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could just spend 24 hours thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke, and I lost my mom. My mom did about every diet you could name. She would cut diets out of Reader's Digest, out of the National Enquirer. She did the grapefruit diet. She did the OptiFast. She did Weight Watchers for years. Nothing against them. And now, knowing what I know now, I can't tell you what I would have given to have been. Well, there wasn't Zoom. There was none of that back in those days. Just to be on a phone call, to just be exposed to this. Do you realize this? What this really amounts to is you get a do-over. You get a chance. You get a chance to completely change the trajectory of the course of the rest of your life by maximizing what? Your quality of life potential. That's the most important thing, I think, to all of us, right? You see, another reason I became more impassioned and became a researcher, my younger brother in 2010 was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and before COVID, I've done over, I'm not telling you this to impress you, these are the facts. I've done over 1,500 lectures all over the world, including in China, right? So pretty much every single week I was gone, sometimes Monday through Friday, whatever. Well, anyway, it was a year ago it was 2010. It was actually a month or so ago in May when there was nothing more they could do, and he was going to go into hospice, and we were in his hospital room, and we were hugging and crying and just reminiscing, as you can imagine what you do, right? And I told him I was scheduled that week to leave this was Saturday night, then Monday morning to fly out and go and lecture. And I was going to go back on Saturday, actually. And so I said to him, his name was Patrick. I said, I've decided I'm going to cancel my speaking engagements next week. He sat up in that bed and pointed at me and says, Peter, I don't want you to stay here and watch me. He said, you go out in that world, and if you can make a difference in one person's life because of me, go do it. Do you think I need more incentive than that? Because I did leave on Monday morning. I flew out east, and it was coincidental on a Friday night of that week. I was doing a talk in Washington, D.C., specifically in Bethesda, which is a little bit north of like the Capitol and stuff. And I went on at 7, but at 6:30 his wife called me. She said, look, your brother's really struggling. Will you talk to him? And I did. I don't even know if he heard me. I went on stage, and he died at 7:15 while I was speaking. I don't usually talk about this all the time because it's I've still got his, I still have his voice message in my phone. But that's what drives me. That's what makes me, the slings and arrows and the critics and the people that want to, take me on for whatever reason, okay? So between my mom and then my brother, pretty big incentive to, carry on this work. And look, I feel like I've been so blessed that and again, I'm not bragging, this is the truth. I've worked with some of the top medical doctors, oncologists, geneticists, molecular biologists, nutraceutical chemists, and nutraceutical researchers in the entire world. And they taught me. Everything I'm sharing with you, none of it's my opinion. And I will tell you right away, I'm the researcher of the researchers. It's not my research. But I feel such an obligation if I can make a difference. What my brother told me, but also, my mom, neither one of them got a do-over. And I'm not saying we're not attempting to talk about we're not curing anything. But what if you could maximize your quality of life potential, even for 24 hours? You realize, with my mom, she only wanted 24 hours. She didn't ask for a week. She didn't ask for a month. She didn't ask for a year. That's how heavy this was on her heart, which eventually that was the thing that, did her in. So I guess that I take this, I take this really, really seriously. But my brother, that's why I do this. If I could make a difference in one of your lives, well, fortunately, it's been a lot more than that. And one of the things, obviously, because of COVID, I stopped lecturing because no one would show up. And I think TikTok is one of the greatest venues. I mean, it's been unbelievable for me. And I've actually only been doing these podcasts for about maybe 5 weeks at the most. And so I would encourage any of you to, maybe tell their friends. I do on average about 3 of these podcasts a day on TikTok. And it's something that I just think you have a right to know the real truth. That's all. And we don't need to convince you of anything, okay? That's way too tiring. We don't need to sell you anything, okay? But the people that are advisors and consultants that you would, if you do sign up for a free consultation, you'll see they feel the same way. They've either had first of all, they had to have done the protocol, and they've been trained on answering, almost all the questions. But I mean, think about it this way. What do you have to lose? You get a free coach, and the first month is 100% money back guarantee. Because also, people ask me about the cost. Well, I have no idea. Do you want to gain weight, lose weight, or you're an athlete? But think about it this way. Half the food you're buying now, you're not going to be buying, and you're getting the most nutrient-dense food in the world, proven in these medical studies. Again, aren't you curious? Why wouldn't you do it? And it just comes down to the fact that I understand how many hearts have been broken by all these fake, maybe you tried paleo, and then you did Mediterranean, and you saw a commercial for Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem or Zoom or Noom or Boom or whatever. I don't fault those people. They're giving you the best they know of what they know. But we have an expression, we say, well, what if you didn't know what you think you know? And what if everything you thought you knew was wrong? When would you want to know the truth? That's really the purpose behind the New Health Conversation, is to just show you the truth. And then you get to pick for a change. You get to decide, not us. That's why I'm telling you, if you go there and you sign up for a free consultation, we're not in the convincing business. I believe that more people are looking for us than we're looking for them. And we really do. I think we do an admirable job We normally will get back to people within, let's say, 24 hours or less, depending on how many people respond, you know. And you can look at it this way. The day you would start this could potentially be the first day of the rest of your life, if you want to do that. It's not that far-fetched. It's not that crazy to think just because it wasn't invented doesn't mean it wasn't possible. And I know some of you say, well, I eat healthy. Not really, okay? I mean, when you consider that you need 70 trace ionic minerals, and in the best organic you can find, you get 20, what about the other 50? But and the nutritional decline, you can Google it. You don't have to believe me. Go to Brussels sprouts. Go to, you know, whatever it is. We have tremendous amounts of calories with less and less nutrition. This is the underlying thing that's going on. And what's the evidence? 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese. They said in this big, the number one medical journal in the world has said that there are 1 billion people worldwide now clinically obese, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition. What don't you get about that? The calories from traditional food? Nice try. Why do you think you're always hungry? Because you're not hungry for calories. You're hungry for nutrition. And so the medical studies that were proven that they 80% women, 20% men weren't allowed to exercise because they didn't want exercise to be an outlier, the researchers, I mean. Look, they consume more calories than the people on the other diets, and yet the people here lost weight 16 times faster than any diet and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass because it was based on nutrition, not calorie counting. And again, back to this really good book, The New American Diet. The New American. You can tell I've used it a lot. I used to travel with it in my lectures. But I'll just read one thing about nutrition. Again, don't believe me, but listen, these are world experts. The more nutrition you give your body, the fewer calories it wants to eat, and the more efficiently it burns the calories you do eat. So when you eat empty calories, temporarily you're satiated, but then you're starving to death because you were never hungry for calories in the first place. You were hungry for nutrition. Why is that such a hard concept for us to get across to everyone? So anyway, in conclusion, any of you that are still here, I would really invite you, go to the website, the New Health. Well, it's right there. So thank you very much for putting it up there, okay? And just look at the medical evidence, look at the before and afters, look at the breakdown, watch that interview, and also it says how to do the R-term protocol. It's a really good walkthrough. Yes, 1,000,000% it's available in Canada. It's actually in, I think, 32 different countries that they have supplied. All of the EU, it's Australia, I think it's Japan. I'm not sure of all the, I don't know. The suppliers are the suppliers that they use. But yes, I know for a fact. I just had a couple of people, even last week in Canada, a gentleman in Toronto and also in a town near Toronto. Well, you probably know the name, but yes, it's absolutely available. But understand something, it's not just what you're going to be consuming. Let me just review one more time. Imagine, if you can, imagine being able to lose as much weight in a week as 8 weeks of any diet. Imagine being able to safely lose as much weight in a month as a year on any diet. The medical proof that I have here in these 7 medical peer-reviewed human trial studies, okay, in the biggest journals in the world, right? The people gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. They reduced their visceral fat by 33%. I showed you those pictures. I don't know, Kay, if you saw that. So this is 30 days. This young woman lost 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches in a month. Look at the difference in her stomach here and there. That's not Photoshop. That's without exercise, by the way. And then this young woman, this is October 3rd to November 9th, about 5. Look at the difference. Have you ever seen anything like this? I mean, and they're not Photoshopped. But look at the athlete. Day 1, day 5, day 12. Well, the morning of day 12. So 11 days. Look at the transformation. It's crazy. But just because it was never invented, doesn't mean it wasn't possible. Wait a minute. How about this? How about if I handed each one of you, let's say 15 years ago before it was on the market, or 20 years ago, and said, hey, I'll give you $500 and show you how to turn it on. Do you think you would have known what this was? That's how this, you know what the researchers are saying? This is going to change the world. I'm telling you, that's what they've said. You'll hear them say it in the interview. You get to go and see the interview with the #1 nutrition researcher in the world. Not Peter Greenlaw. I'm the researcher of the researchers, if that makes sense to everyone. So in closing, I would hope you all would take me up on my invitation. Go to that website, the New Health Conversation. Yeah, you're exactly accessible for many. Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you, Mars. I really do appreciate it. I hope you'll go check out the website. We're not going to contact you. I'm telling you, we're so busy. We don't need to be like tricking people, okay? And just enjoy the information. And if it looks good, sign up for a free consultation, okay? So I'm going to sign off now one last time. You can see the new health conversation. You can go there, it's free, and sign up for a free consultation if you want. So I'm going to say goodbye for this one. I'm probably going to do one more podcast probably in about another hour or so for today, just in case if you had a friend or somebody that'd like to jump